All right. Well, I have the pleasure of introducing Cara Haggerty and Jody O'Donnell Ames from Hope Loves Company. Cara is the executive director at Hope Loves Company and is a graduate of the College of New Jersey with a bachelor's degree in English and a minor's in marketing and psychology. She joined the HLC team soon after watching a friend lose a loved one to ALS. She lives in Princeton, New Jersey, and is proud to be a part of HLC Team. And without further ado, I will turn it over to Cara.
Thank you so much, Shannon, and thank you to the Massachusetts chapter for inviting us to this presentation today. We are always happy to share Camp HLC with interested families and so grateful for the support of the Massachusetts chapter. So I'm going to share my screen. And like Shannon said, I'm Cara. I'm the Executive Director of Hope Loves Company, and I'm joined by Jody, who is our founder and who will be sharing a little bit about the history and mission of Hope Loves Company.
Yes, so thank you, everyone. Thank you, Cara, and thank you to the Massachusetts chapter for this chance to share. So can you see me all?
Yes.
Okay, excellent. I couldn't see me, so I wasn't sure that you could. So I'd like to begin with my story. So this pretty much shares it really well. This was 2000, and my husband Kevin who lived with ALS, was paralyzed, speechless, and depended on a ventilator and a feeding tube. And he was 36 when he passed away. I was 35 when I was widowed, and we had an 8-year-old. So as a result of that, as well as my work with the ALS Hope Foundation and the ALS Association, my advocacy and determination, and not only mine, but Kevin's as well, the idea of Hope Loves Company was formed, that there were no services for children, caregivers whose lives were affected by ALS. And after Kevin passed away, I started at the ALS Hope Foundation in Philadelphia as their director of communications. And that led to meeting my current husband, Warren Benton Ames, and to having 2 bonus children. And in that process of raising 3 children who had all lost a parent to ALS before the age of 11, as well as my grief and my personal journey with grief, as well as my husband Benton's, Warren Benton Ames, I recognized that there was a need and started the idea of Hope Loves Company. So Hope Loves Company is the only nonprofit in the United States with the mission of providing both educational and emotional support to children who either currently have a loved one living with ALS or who have lost a loved one living with ALS. And our premier program is Camp HLC, which takes place in 6 states. We started with 1 in 2014, and now we have 6 camps across the United States. And I'm very, very grateful that we have organizations like yours that support this mission and that work with us. Also grateful that Cara is leading the way. So we hope to continue growing, and we have much more to do, but that's just a beginning, of what we're doing and how we got started. So, I recognize in having our own children who were all 1 year apart, and 2 that lost a mother, 1 that lost a father to ALS, that not only did they recognize and experience loss differently, but they also processed it differently. And, it could have been that our son was withdrawn, our daughter was angry. I mean, these are all different things that, even though I had been trained as a teacher, I assumed that the process of the children would have gone like this. They would all have been the same and they were all very different. So I was learning and recognizing that children who are in this situation, and they are possibly caregiving as well, are going through a lot of challenges. They are facing school responsibilities, and now more than ever, and especially in today's climate with the Zoom and socialization, all of the social media aspects and obligations that children feel that they're trying to balance their home life with their school. In caregiving, they may feel that they're isolated, that they are losing friends and social activities. We know families, because of COVID, whose children really for a whole year did not have the opportunity to go out and be with friends, because the ALS community is extra vulnerable than the already COVID community. And these children are accepting and adapting to so many changes. They are adapting to anticipatory grief, to the losses that take place, not only with the person who has ALS, but family losses, the ability to do certain things, the additional resources that are needed in a home, maybe a wheelchair, maybe a BiPAP machine. So these are all changes that are taking place, while simultaneously a child may be going through his or her own changes as he's growing or she's growing. So the feelings of isolation in this process, in this journey, fear, worry, anxiety, and can lead to depression. We find that most of our children are feeling anxious. And I think we don't need to say it, that we as a society are feeling anxious with everything that's going on. So it's only been exaggerated. Also, families who are going through this journey may have financial instability. So the person with ALS may have been the person who worked outside of the home, or could be a caregiver who has to leave a position to provide care. So there's always financial struggle, or typically financial struggle, in the families we serve. So even that, with a lack of resources, children may not be able to do extracurricular activities and may not have an outlet. So what are we doing as an organization? What is our mission, and what are we trying to provide? Well, our mission is trying to bring support to children in various ways. So through our programs and activities, we want to diminish the feelings of isolation and the idea that no one understands. We can't tell you how many times we hear children and young adults express the fact that they have friends, yet their friends really don't understand. They can't understand. And we know as adults that unless you've walked this journey, unless you've seen this, it's something that's very hard to understand. Even now I meet nurses who don't understand ALS, and you would think that they would. So there's just this lack of awareness. We want to encourage new relationships with others who do understand, so they can feel supported. We want to provide coping skills and healthy habits. We all, whether it's ALS or other things, we will always have situations that challenge us. So understanding how to respond to them and what works best for individuals is so extremely helpful as a life skill in general. We want to create the opportunity for dialogue and expression, and for children to have a voice in this situation. So we have counselors, professional counselors in our sessions. We also want to provide childhood memories, and that's why the entire family is included, because opportunities to laugh and be silly and smile are excellent, which leads to family bonding, which is so important. and resources and educational tools. So we have books at Hope Loves Company that we share, and we're continuing to figure out ways and learn ways where we can provide tools that empower children caregivers. So these are our goals, and it's a lot to do. And we have, as I said, much more to do, but we are very proud of our progress.
Thank you, Jody.
Thank you.
So with those challenges for young caregivers and with those goals of supportive activities in mind, we've created these programs at Hope Loves Company. Our premier program is, of course, Camp HLC. It's a weekend retreat, which now takes place in 6 states as well as virtually. So that's one silver lining that came out of the pandemic, is that it provided an opportunity for us to reach families that may have otherwise not been able to attend an in-person camp. And it also allowed us to create virtual programs. So we now have monthly group shares and meet and greets. Group shares is an activity that we do at Camp HLC. We get into different age groups with a mental health professional, a counselor, a social worker who helps facilitate a conversation or a dialogue between our children. So we now do those once a month. The first Wednesday of the month is for our teenagers, and the second Wednesday of the month is for our middle age group, 10 to 12 years old. And Jody also facilitates meet and greets for any adults affected by ALS. So people living with ALS, caregivers, people who have experienced loss due to ALS. So we now have those virtual programs so that we can provide year-round support to our families. We also send Hug of Hope care packages. So these contain a Hope Loves Company t-shirt, which I'm wearing, a stuffed animal or a gift card, depending on the age of the child, a snack, a note of encouragement from our team, a children's book or caregiver guide, and some other goodies. We also have a Young Ambassador program, which is like a youth advocacy and leadership program. So children and teenagers between the ages of 14 and 22, so about high school freshman age to college senior age. We get together every other month, and we hope that our campers or our young ambassadors can take on some type of project and really just give them a voice to express their experiences. They've also taken on different projects like writing a letter template that other children can share with their schools to explain what's going on at home. We had our first teen retreat in 2018, which was based off the Camp HLC model, but geared towards our older group. So there was a real focus on health and wellness, and we hope to do that on a biannual basis. We also had our first HLC Kids Count conference in 2019, which we will be doing again this fall. We'll be doing it virtually via Zoom, but it was an opportunity for families, caregivers, educators, professionals in the ALS community, doctors, coaches to come together to learn more about ALS, learn about children caregivers, and how we can support them. So we'll be doing that again this fall, and we'll be sure to get Shannon the information so that she can share it with you all. And we also have a scholarship, the Susan B. Anderson Scholarship. It's a $1,000 scholarship that we award 3 recipients each year. That will open in the late summer or early fall. And again, I'll make sure Shannon has the information so she can share it with you. And that's for a high school senior or someone who's in college, enrolled in a 2 or 4 year university or trade school. And we give away 3 of those. We also provide our children with speaking and writing opportunities. So whether that's through our Young Ambassador program, speaking at our conference, we had a panel of 5 children and teenagers between the ages of 8 and 20 years old present at our conference to share their experiences as young caregivers. And we also invite them to write something for our newsletter, for social media, to speak at other events. And we also have children's books. So Jody has authored a book called The Stars That Shine that is based on a true story, and that is for late elementary school, middle school age. And then we also have What Did You Learn Today, which was written by Tina Singer Ames for her children, and that's for elementary school age children. And both of those help parents gently introduce ALS to their children. The Stars That Shine has a resource guide at the back of the book that helps parents guide that conversation, gives advice on how to have that conversation. And we also have Someone I Love Has ALS, a caregiver guide, also authored by Jody. And so that is a caregiver guide that we sometimes send to teenagers or to families who request it. And they're also available on Amazon. Does anyone have any questions about any of our programs before I go on? Okay. So Camp HLC. Camp HLC is our premier program. It's one of our oldest programs. As Jody said, it's grown from 1 camp in New Jersey to now 6 camps across the US. And that's something that we're hoping to continue to grow so that we can have Camp HLC within 5 hours driving distance of all families affected by ALS across the US. And we're now doing it virtually as well. So any families who aren't able to otherwise meet in person can join our virtual camp, which will take place in July. And all of our programs are free to families affected by ALS, regardless of where they are in their ALS journey. If they're newly diagnosed, if they've experienced loss, all families are welcome and encouraged to join our programs and to utilize the resources that we have. So Camp HLC, the goals of Camp HLC are similar to the goals we shared earlier. So we want to make sure that children and young adults affected by ALS can meet others who share in their experiences. For most of our campers, camp is the first time that they've actually met another child or young adult who not only knows what ALS is, but also has been a caregiver or has experienced loss to ALS. So I know one of our early camps before I even joined the team, that was one of the pieces of feedback that we'd received, that a teenager, I think 14 years old, it was her first camp, and it was the first time that she didn't have to explain ALS to any of her peers, and what a gift that was. So we also have activities that we hope help our kids develop healthy coping skills. So we do yoga, music, art therapy, meditation, just being out in nature, hiking. We also make sure to have lots of fun and recreational activities in our schedule. So hiking, swimming, lake activities, fishing, arts and crafts. And we also have group shares, which I mentioned earlier, but it's just an opportunity for our kids to come together, to share their experiences, to receive guidance from peers and from mental health professionals. And Camp HLC Massachusetts is at Camp Emerson in Hinsdale, Massachusetts. So it's near the Berkshires, and this year it is August 20th through the 22nd. I'll also share the flyer with Shannon so she can share that with everyone. And this picture is actually my background. It's our picture from camp in 2019. It was our largest camp ever in the history of Hope Loves Company, with over 100 people there. And this year we are planning to meet in person. So in 2020, we went totally virtual with all of our camps. This year, we're hoping to meet in person. We're planning to meet in person as long as the state and CDC guidelines remain the way they are, or hopefully improve. We'll be meeting in person for a full weekend with the overnight. We will have, of course, some COVID guidelines and restrictions. So wearing masks, social distancing, negative tests or proof of vaccine, smaller group sizes, but we are so excited to be back together in person. The virtual is wonderful and continues to be wonderful, but there's just something very magical about being together in person for an entire weekend and staying up late, getting up early, and having a full day of activities. So this is a list of activities at Camp HLC in Massachusetts. So here's a picture from their heated swimming pool. In 2019, we actually had a teen pool party in the evening, which they loved. So there's lake activities, there's boating, a zip line that goes into the lake, a giant iceberg, which I believe Shannon conquered, very challenging.
Very difficult.
Yes. There's also fishing. There's a heated swimming pool. We always do a campfire and s'mores on the first night of camp. There's an adventure ropes course. We do music, yoga, arts and crafts, and we'll usually have a special project for each camp. So this year, we haven't determined what that will be, but for example, in years past, we've done scrapbooking, We've done memory pillows where our campers brought in a shirt that had a special meaning to them, and they actually made a pillowcase out of it and made memory pillows. We also do group shares, and for our younger groups, we facilitate those with our children's books, so those guide those conversations. There's archery, there's a big gymnastics hall, there are group sports, disc golf, volleyball, soccer. So there's just a lot of really great activities at camp, and this campground in Hinsdale is just beautiful.
Cara, if you don't mind, I just want to share something because I think it's wonderful.
Sure.
That in the picture that you have there, there are 3 people living with ALS who joined us that year, which was just so exciting. So I just wanted to share that.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you. We always make sure that our campgrounds are accessible so that people living with ALS can attend with their families. With the help of the ALS Association, we've gotten, is my screen still being shared?
I'm sorry. I just asked you, I made a mistake and clicked stop video and meant to click something else.
Oh, okay.
You're still
there
showing.
We go.
There you go.
I didn't even realize. The ALS Association Massachusetts chapter brought in ramps to fit to the cabins. So we make sure that the campground's accessible, that the cabins are accessible, and that the entire family can make it to Camp HLC. So these are just a couple of quotes that we've gotten from our camp evaluations. So this is from a 14-year-old. Camp HLC helped me because I was surrounded with people who know what I was going through, and it may help others because it shows that they're not alone. So that, I believe, was from a virtual camp this year. And the next quote, this was a great experience for our family. We loved it. Everything was well thought out and planned. Everyone was friendly, nice, caring, and inclusive. What a great group of people to meet and spend time with. And that, I believe, was from our camp in Chicago in 2019. And then from one of our 8-year-olds, it was helpful to be around other families affected by ALS. And I believe that was Massachusetts in 2019. So that's Camp HLC. If anyone has any questions about the camp experience or any of our other programs, please reach out to us, give us a call, shoot us an email. The office line goes directly to my cell phone, so pretty much always available to anyone who wants to learn more about HLC. But this is just some information, some flyers for other virtual programs. So as I shared, our guides, who are our teens and young adults between the ages of 13 and about 21, they meet on the first Wednesday of each month at 7 p.m. and we register by the season. So right now we're in the spring season. We just had our first meeting last night and last week for our guides and our hikers. And then our hikers are our 10 to 12 years old, so our tweens, and they meet on the second Wednesday at the same time, 7 p.m. Eastern time. And we meet by Zoom, and you can register at our website, hopelovescompany.org. We also have our meet and greets for adults affected by ALS, and those are on the third Wednesday. They're facilitated by Jody and sometimes her husband, Benton, and those are also at 7 p.m. Eastern time. And again, you can register on our website. And then actually this Saturday, we have a family fun day. So typically we'd have a family fun day, one a year, and it would usually be in the Northeast, in New Jersey, Pennsylvania, New York area. But this year we are doing it virtually, so it's open to any family across the US and beyond. And that will be this Saturday, April 17th from 1 p.m. to 5 p.m. And it's kind of like the virtual camp weekend condensed into just a couple hours. So we'll have some icebreaker activities. We'll be doing yoga, music, trivia, and we have plenty of room for more families to join us. And we do encourage the entire family to sign up and do the activities together. So that's this Saturday. Registration is on our website, and we'd love to have more folks there. And these are just some pictures from camp and other programs. So in the top left, we have a virtual Camp HLC picture. So we sent everyone who attended the virtual camp, and anyone who signs up for this year's virtual camp will get a care package in the mail, which is everything they need for an awesome camp weekend. So they get their shirt, they get a s'mores kit, they get art supplies, and lots of other goodies. So that's a picture of them roasting their marshmallows during our virtual campfire. The bottom left are 2 Hug of Hope care package recipients. So they got their teddy bears, they got their camp t-shirt, and other goodies. The top center is a photo from one of our virtual camps last year. So this was during music, and I just love this picture because Jesse, who does our music and who will be at our virtual camp or virtual family fun day, and most likely our New Jersey and Massachusetts camp, he's just hilarious and the kids love him. So that's him in the bottom center. And then the bottom center photo is a photo from Camp HLC in New Jersey. So one of our leaders taking the kids out on a boat. And then the top right is from fishing at Camp Emerson. So it's a beautiful lake. And that's one of our campers there who caught a fish. And then the bottom right is another virtual Camp HLC photo. So we sent everyone a tie-dye kit. They got white t-shirts and we tie-dyed our shirts. So it was really great seeing everyone's creation. So those are just a couple pictures from camp and other programs. And then this is a picture of Mackenzie Anderson and her mom, Susan. So Mackenzie and Susan are Massachusetts. Mackenzie lived in Massachusetts, and her mom was diagnosed with ALS when she was 16 years old. And she met Jody, and I'll let Jody share that story if she wants, of how they connected. But the Susan B. Anderson Scholarship is actually in Susan's honor and memory, and Mackenzie now serves on our board of directors. So she's our first camper turned board member. And this is just a great quote. "Children, after all, are not just adults in the making. They are people whose current needs and rights and experiences must be taken seriously." So I have a video that Mackenzie's featured in, and it features Camp HLC Massachusetts, and I'll play that next. But Jody, if you just want to share a little bit about that relationship.
Yeah, it was it's a great story. So Mackenzie, as you said, was 15 or 16 years old, and her mother had been diagnosed, and she immediately knew, so kudos to her, that this was bigger than her and that she needed to surround herself with assistance, resources. And so back then we didn't really even have a staff. The HLC number was my cell, and she called, and she said, and she happened to call like a week before Camp HLC started, and she's like, "I want to go." She independently figured out how to take a bus from Massachusetts to New Jersey to get to camp. She arrived close to our house and drove with us to camp. And she said that experience was exactly what she needed, and it changed her life. So sadly, her mom did pass away, but she gained strength from that experience, that first experience that was able to carry her. So we're very lucky that she serves our board, and it's just a reminder of the support that is able to be received and how much of an impact it makes.
Thank you, Jody.
Thank you.
So I'm going to share this video, and let me know, give me a thumbs up if you can hear it. I might have to go into the settings and allow that. Can everyone hear it?
No, we can't hear it.
Okay, I apologize. I think I have to stop my share and then reshare it and click the audio button. Alrighty.
You got taller since May? Jody O'Donnell Ames considers all these kids hers. Busy finding bunks, they all came to East Brookfield for Hope Loves Company, a long weekend away.
So it's a combination of the regular fun, goofy camp experience and supporting one another.
Everyone here is touched by ALS. Maybe a parent or grandparent is struggling or has struggled. Jody lost her husband, Kevin O'Donnell, when he was just 36. She married Warren Ames, who lost his wife. Both had young children.
Our children were under 11 when they lost a parent to ALS, and there was no such thing as camp or support groups for children.
She changed that in 2012 with the first Hope Loves Company camp in her home state of New Jersey. Camps are now held in 5 more states, including Massachusetts.
It was the first time that I felt like I didn't have to explain ALS to anyone else. It was incredible.
There's such strength in that smile. Mackenzie Anderson's mom, Susan, was diagnosed in 2014 and passed away last year.
I was struggling at first. I was diagnosed with depression at the time, and I'm such a happy person, and that just wasn't me. So I knew I needed something. I needed some help.
From Foxborough, she found Jody online, and at camp, the support she needed. Forever friendships.
All across the country, we text each other in a group chat. The other day, my friend FaceTimed me at 11 p.m. She's in Florida, really missing her mom. It's some of the only people that understand.
A lot of other kids have parents or grandparents or aunts and uncles with ALS, and it's nice to meet them and stuff and to relate.
Repeat campers Holly and Karina Cowan look forward to that and to just being kids.
The zip line.
Zip line, rock wall climbing.
Yeah. Campfires.
We're their cheerleaders, and we have a lot to do. We have to keep cheering them on.
The ALS Association of Massachusetts agrees there's a real need for more support for children. They helped sponsor the East Brookfield camp. Meantime, Jody's goal is to get enough support to be able to hold a camp within 5 hours of every child across the country who needs one. Erica Tarantel, WCVB News Center.
Such a great video.
It is. I cry every time.
I know, I just watched it and I still teared up. This is our contact information. So my email, Jody's email, the office number that goes right to my cell phone, our website where you can register for events and programs or learn more about HLC. So if anyone has any questions, we'd love to hear them. And I did want to share that there's also volunteering opportunities at camp or other programs. So I'll put Shannon on the spot if she wants to share a little bit about her volunteer experience at camp.
Sure. So I have had the privilege of actually being involved in Hope Loves Company for several years now. I think our first camp, correct me if I'm wrong, was 2015
or 16, and I'm just going to say that you are one of the best volunteers we have, so thank you. You are awesome. Awesome,
well, thank you.
Awesome.
I was appreciative of the fact that you didn't put a picture of me in the cape that I wore last year. So, but I've had an incredible experience volunteering with Hope Loves Company. When we're in person, when we're at camp, I spend the whole weekend there and get to be a kid myself. And I tell this story of when I first started working for the ALS Association and going into families' homes. I would always meet with the parents or the grandparents or aunts and uncles, but never would I see the children. They would either be at school or they'd be in another room, and the conversation wouldn't even come up about kids or their kids that they had, or, oh, well, we don't really want to talk about this right now, so we're not going to. And so I never really spent a lot of time thinking about the children themselves and them as being caregivers until I came to this camp, Hope Loves Company, until the Hope Loves Company, or Mackenzie Anderson actually approached us and asked us if we could have a camp in Massachusetts because she had such a positive experience from her first experience at Hope Loves Company. So we decided that we would start to get involved, find out what this is all about. I have to tell you, that first weekend was so eye-opening. Being able to talk to some of these kids and hearing some of their stories and having them interact with other kids who are going through the same thing and hearing, I just feel so relieved to be able to know someone else who is going through something like me. And hearing the words of relief or comfort or, establishing that friendship and that relationship. And these kids exchange numbers and talk, like Mackenzie said in the video, they talk and their friendships continue year in and year out. And they look forward to the next camp. And so when Hope Loves Company went virtual last year, I thought it was probably one of the best experiences that we've had because it gave kids the opportunity who couldn't maybe make it to their own state or or they couldn't make it to a different state, or they couldn't make it that weekend. This gave them the opportunity to be virtual and to do it no matter where they were. And that actually connected a lot more kids from different states. And you got to connect with some of the children on a different level. So I absolutely love volunteering. It allows me to be a kid for a weekend. And it also really opens my eyes to these kids and what they go through on a daily basis, and how strong they are. And how strong they are when they're together with one another, being able to talk to somebody else who's relatively close to their age about what they're going through. It's extremely powerful, and it brings tears to your eyes every weekend. So I encourage everyone out there who has kids or grandkids or knows people who have kids or grandkids or loved ones with somebody with ALS, to really get involved in this program, because it is absolutely amazing what they can do and the friendships that these kids can gain out of this, and the knowledge and support that they can gain out of this that program out of Hope Loves Company.
I want to just thank you for sharing so honestly, Shannon. It's been great. And I just wanted to share another example. I'm doing a podcast, and I interviewed one of our campers who is one of 6. She lives in Pennsylvania. Her dad has ALS. And, sometimes we don't understand, or we don't see every day the impact. And when I was talking to her, to talk about the podcast, she's like, wait a second. And somebody called her. Well, it was one of our kids. And she said, we talk every day. So she and this other young woman, one who has a father living with ALS, one who recently lost her dad to ALS, talk every day and have done so for 3 years. So it truly is amazing. So thank you for your kind words.
Yeah, thank you, Shannon, and definitely echo Jody's sentiments. Great volunteer, always come in with the crazy wigs and the capes and amazing energy at camp. So, and thank you for sharing your experiences. Does anyone have any questions about camp or how to register or anything else about Hope Loves Company? And I'll also add, if any questions pop up between now and camp in August, please give us a call or send us an email. We're happy to help.
Absolutely.
Well, I want to thank Cara and Jody for joining today. I sincerely appreciate you guys coming to present. This is an incredible program, and I think that your goal of having a camp, close to everybody, I think is attainable. And I look forward to seeing that one day when Hope Loves Company has a camp close enough within a 5-hour driving distance from everyone, because that would be absolutely incredible.
I agree. I dream of it.